Hey guys, the Road Duelist here, bringing you another deck profile. I'm here at Cardiff with Drew with his Raidraptor deck, and I'll let Drew take over. Take it away, Drew.
So to start off with, I think I'll go with the normal summons. So running 3 copies of Tribulanius. Tribulanius is the best normal summon in the deck. It's a 1-card combo if you've got nothing else in hand, but it's also really good if you've got extenders just to play with it. I also run 3 copies of Noirlanius. Personally, Noirlanius is a card that not everybody runs threes of, and I completely understand that because there's other extenders in the deck that are better to see. But I run this specifically so you can grab things like Painlanius and Heal Eagle, because they're really, really useful cards. Especially with Painlanius, there's a line you can go through to play around Shifter, and that comes up, surprisingly often against things like Kashtira or Floowandereeze. So the next 3 off, getting into some cards you really want to see in your hand. Bloom Vulture. 3 of Bloom Vulture, I think it's an amazing card. This plus any other Raidraptor is really good. It allows you to cheat out other cards if they've got special summon requirements as well. So you don't have to use their effects and you can save them for later in your turn. But also as a nice little graveyard effect, if you end up in a position where you have to restart from nothing, that can be really, really useful too. Strangulanius. I think this card is disgusting. I think it's way better than it has any right to be. Obviously itself, it's a really good extender, but if you have an Xyz on the field with another Xyz attached, that's a free body. There's so much you can do with that. You can link it off, you can go into another Xyz, and obviously we're playing pretty much exclusively rank 4s, so that's easy to do. So I'm running 2 copies of Fuzzylanius and 1 copy of Raider's Wing. I've seen some lists that tend to use more copies of Raider's Wing. Personally, I tend to send this to the graveyard from Tribulanius. You can add it to your hand very easily, and it's not a card you really want to see in your opening hand unless you have a Bloom Vulture. Because otherwise it's kind of a dead card. You have to normal summon it, and then you need an extender, and things can get complicated. And as well with the 2 Fuzzylanius, I tend to just ignore Fuzzylanius. I am playing pure Raidraptor, but if you don't have to use Fuzzy, I tend not to, because you can end on a stronger end board. So that's just a thing that I've experienced. It works quite well. But obviously, if you send a Fuzzy to the graveyard, you can just grab one for free. It's a great extender, and I don't think you need more than 2. So then I'm also running, these are my 1-obs. So I'm running the non-level 4 package. So I'm running the Heal Eagle. It's a really great recycle, and you can link it off really, really easily into a Y-Strix. And the Painlanius is good for dodging Shifter. There's a little line that I've discovered or I've played with that allows you to keep playing and end up with enough Xyz material on board to just go straight into one of your towers without having to worry about your graveyard. And then I only run 1 Mimicry. Basically, if you're in a position where you're sending 2 different Mimicries in 2 different turns to your graveyard to use both of their banish effects, I think there's something else going on there. And I think Mimicry is a perfectly great card to have, but it's a dead normal summon. There are much better normal summons in the deck, and obviously it's not an extender on its own. And then also running 2 copies of Simor. Simor can be used as a chain blocker, but he's also a great extender. So normal summon Raider's Wing plus another Simor. That's a level 4 Xyz on board, and that's really, really great. So on top of that, I've got my rank ups. So I'm running Rise Rank Up, and I'm running the Skip Force. They're essential for the deck. These are the engine requirements. I would also like to run a Soul Shave Force. I just don't have it yet, because that goes really well into the rank 6. And then I'm also running for Spells and Traps. I'm running a Glorious Bright and a Roost. Roost is searchable off of Mimicry, and then Glorious Bright is an Omni Negate, and it's searchable off of Roost effect. So it'd be silly not to. It's the only negate we run in the deck as well, and I think that's really important. Absolutely. So this one's a bit of a weird choice, but I am running 3 copies of Swallow's Cowrie. Swallow's Cowrie is used in things like Floowandereeze to imperm dodge, and you can kind of do that in this deck. But basically, you're using it to set up your hand in the draw phase where you're not worried about draw. So if you start with 2 normal summon starters, you can just swap one of them out for an extender, and then you've got as much as you want from that. And that's like a really useful tech that does come up a surprising amount. Obviously, it does die to things like Ash, but if you send a card like Mimicry, you start with Mimicry in your hand, then you've got Mimicry in your graveyard for follow-up. So there's loads of little things to do that. And I'm also running 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is essentially another copy of Tribulanius. So you can send a Fuzzy if you really need a card. That's a Fuzzy in your hand for free. You can also send Mimicry if you need a very, very specific card. But also it sends Raider's Wing, and quite often I find that sending Raider's Wing to your graveyard is really, really useful. I'm also running a very standard hand trap package. So 3 Bell, 3 Morna. I do main deck Nibiru because your unaffected towers doesn't actually affect you if you're doing it on your opponent's go in second turn. And then 3 copy of Imperm just there.
That's your main deck?
That's my main deck. And that is 40 cards as well. That's exactly 40.
Yeah.
So as far as the extra deck goes, I have 2 copies of Rising Rebellion Falcon. It's a custom card. The card is absolutely disgusting. Obviously, when it's summoned, it blows up the entire of your opponent's board. And if you manage to get it with a 3 unique materials, then it also does life point damage. And this will win you the game by itself. If you can just turbo out one of these, you'll win. But you can also summon a second one on your opponent's turn if you set up right. So this is the original big towers that everybody used to play. You've got the Ultimate Falcon. This is also a disgustingly good card. Both of these are unaffected, so why wouldn't you run them? You bring this out through Arsenal Falcon's effect, which you run 2 of just here. And it burns your opponent in the end phase, so it's a really good burn card as well. But it also just makes your opponent's board weaker, and that's really good to play around. Arsenal Falcon is one of your endpoints. I run 2. I don't tend to use the second one, so I'm thinking about cutting it. But generally, that's nice, like if it gets interrupted. But you just want to be linking this one off to bring out Ultimate Falcon anyway. So I'm running the 6 Revolution Falcon. Like I said, I don't have the Soul Shade Force at the moment, but this is a perfect target for it. This is really good on the follow-up. It zeroes out your opponent's monsters as it attacks them, and it can attack everything that's special summoned. So this is a really good going second card that can just win you the game. And you can copy, if this ends up in your graveyard, you can copy its effect, which means that this is like a 4,000 body that zeroes things out and attacks everything. So 1 Brave Strix. I did used to run a second one, but I think 1 Brave Strix is enough. This is basically just to get you one of your rank ups, and also once it's in your graveyard, you just want it to stay there, basically. I'm running an Arc Rebellion. This card, again, will win you the game. It's a really good going second card, and you can make it very easily off of Raider's Knight. So you negate the field, you attack into everything. It's really, really good. Obviously, you can't summon it if you've used Fuzzy, but it's my currently only non-Raidraptor card in the deck. So that happens very infrequently. 2 copies of Raider's Knight. Raider's Knight is a staple of the deck. You need it. 2 copies is in case the first one gets destroyed or negated, and if you haven't activated its effect, you can just go into a second one and keep playing. 3 copy of 4 Strix. 4 Strix is a soft once per turn. This card will get you so much in card advantage. I think you can end on certain lines with 7 cards in your hand or 6 cards in your hand, and then you can set up for next turn. It's stupid. It's a great card. I absolutely love it. And then I only run 2 of the Y Strix. Y Strix, again, it's a really great special summon from your deck, but also it grabs you your rank ups and allows you to build your towers on your turn and then have the follow-up for next turn for your opponents.
Yeah, it's such a cool deck. You've done well today. Won 3 or 4 games?
I won 3 games, I believe.
Yeah, out 4 rounds. Very good deck. Thank you for the deck profile, Drew.
Thank you very much.
And I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.